If you like my videos, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to leave a comment below. There is plenty of timestamps for you to check, such as items, gems and more. But please make sure to check out the common question and answers. So let's get into the video. So this build is very heavily inspired by watching Build of the Week on Path of Exile main official channel. I will have a link in the description if you wanna read the full written build guide by the original content creator of this build. If it is your first time seeing this build and it looks very weird, I wouldn't be surprised, because when I'm live streaming a lot of people give me the weird eye, they don't know what's happening. But to explain very briefly, your main damage source and your movement skill, in this case frostblink, applies ignite, and we have a prolif on it as well, so you're gonna be constantly moving and constantly doing the damage. So in this version that I'm doing, the build is designed to do like a really fast mapper, and I can do this very easily with the very minimum effort just by tapping two buttons, and occasionally I'm using the steal skill on my left mouse. But I neglected all of the boss damage and a lot of survivability, because my only defense is the grace, and I have some spell suppression. And the other defense is just basically I'm moving constantly and applying the damage. Can you do some bossing on this build? I did couple guardians like the Minotaur and the Phoenixes. I was able to do it quite easily, since the build just you apply ignite and you run around. But I wouldn't say it's the fastest boss killer. And you might be wondering, should you invest in this build? This is pretty much up to your choice. If you like the playstyle, then yeah, go for it. Because I think the original content creator did highlight that you can do some bossing if you heavily invest in the build. For our bandits rewards, we're choosing to kill all of the bandits, so we're gonna get 2 extra points. So for our Pantheon choice, you have 2 options with the major gods. I would go with the solo branking, because the stun sometimes is a bit of annoying, even if our frostblink is an instant skin, so even if you get like a stun, you can still use it no matter what. But I would say just stick with the branking, because like I said, the stun is annoying, and I didn't find any other solution to get ourselves like a perma anti-stun thing. The second option is sort of Arakali, if you like lacking of the chaos resistance and you don't mind sometimes dealing with the stun. So basically it's up to your choice. With the minor gods, there's a couple possibilities. You could go sort of Shakari just for the extra chaos resist. You could go with sort of Aberrant just for the unaffected by the burning grounds. We can go sort of Yugul for the reduced curse effects. So I would say again, this is up to your choice, whatever it's like the map requires you to have. So for your ascendancy point, the first 2 pointers you should take Shepherd of the Flames, simply that will give you the hits always ignite. The second point is Shaper of the Storm. This will make the hits shock all the time, and the rest of 2 points are pretty much Master of the Discord and Head of Destruction. So here's a couple tips what you can do with the passive tree. Right, you can respect those 4 points on the fire cluster, as they don't provide too much damage for us, and you can simply take over here a jewel and you can spend those 2 points over here, and pretty much you're gonna get very similar damage, and you're gonna have access to a jewel over here. If you're still struggling for the points, you can respect this point over here. This doesn't give us too much damage, so that's like a one pointer that you can save up. And you can save up another point over here for the increased evasion from your body armor. That gives us a little bit of evasion, but you can take it later on. Another point that you can save up, it's gonna be the Eldritch Battery over here, because this requires you to have some ES, and I'm using my ES just to have some kind of mana, so I can cast my Steel Skin and my Whirling Blade. But if you don't have any ES on your gear, you can respect that as well, so that you can save up a point over here. For your flask choice, I would highly recommend having a life flask with the grants immunity to corrupting blood and bleeding. Then you wanna have a movement flask. I would highly recommend crafting reduce effect of curses on it, as you're gonna be popping your movement flask quite often. And then the free flask are up to your choice. And the only thing that I would do with those flasks, I would craft myself use when the charge reach full. So pretty much this is gonna make those flasks auto flask. You're never gonna have to press them yourself unless you really want. And I went with like extra movement speed, I went with evasion, and I have a jade flask that gives me evasion, and I went with the flask that gives you a little bit more of chaos res, and I have an extra corrupted blood and bleeding immunity. Well, you can put whatever you want. So gearing this character is very simple, as there is only one item that's mandatory and cannot be replaced, and you have to buy it. Is this gonna be this ring, Pyre? Because this ring converts 40% of our cold damage to fire. If you apply 20 catalysts of the turbulence, the blue ones, this one, then the conversion goes from 40% to 48%. And I would highly recommend getting a good roll of the increased burning damage, because the catalyst will increase this as well. And the rest of the items are very flexible. I'm using 2 replicas of the cold iron point. They give me +3 to the cold spells. That's gonna give me 3 extra points to my frostblink. So I'm using 2 of them. Then I'm using presence just simply for the free flammability cures. Then I'm using a heat shiver just to get a little bit increased damage by the chill effect. And an enchantment on this helmet. The frostblink increased maximum travel distance is absolutely useless. You don't have to get it, so a basic heat shiver is good enough. Then this chest absolutely gonna skyrocket your damage, so I would highly recommend getting it. It's not because when I was playing Witch of the Chest, my ignite damage was around 1.5 mil, something like that. And as soon as I started using the chest, it went to like a 2.5, like just like that. So the chest is like a massive damage increase. Then you need to have like our basic rare gloves with like life resistance, and the only implicit that I will be looking is inflict exposure on hit, because while we're gonna be mapping, you're just gonna be pressing your frostblink, you're gonna apply the exposure, and then you're gonna be applying another exposure from your ascendancy. So that's like a very good quality of life when you can just like start pressing one button and automating your build. Do you need the ignite the ignite proliferation gloves? Yeah, it's nice to have, but if you're gonna be paying extra amount of currency for it, I would say no, because you can simply swap the unbound elements for ignite prolif gem, and that's gonna do the job just simply for the mapping. For your boots, you're just looking for a very basic rares, and if you can get the ignite deals faster, that's gonna give you a little bit damage. The scorched ground is gonna give you a little bit negative res, but you have to like use your whirling blades just to apply it to the boss. The belt is just like a life resistance stat, and I'm using the regen 150 energy shield per second near the rare enemy, so whenever I run out of my ES, as soon as I'm near the rare enemy, it just goes up, so I can keep on spamming my Whirring Blade. And the Barrack Respite, again, I would say this ring is very flexible, but I would highly recommend using it, because this ring makes the ignite spread like from a pack to a pack. That's why you can get those huge pack clears that you see in the video that I'm doing. So that's pretty much the combination of the Barrack and the ignite prolif. Either it's gonna be from your gloves or from your gem. Here's the gem setup that we're gonna be using. For our helmet, we're gonna be using all of our auras. So we're gonna be using Purity of Elements, Malevolence, Grace. And if you can afford yourself to buy yourself an Enlighten level 3, I would socket the Enlighten with our big auras. This will allow you to have additional aura, Defiance banner, and then you can socket the banner with whichever items you want. And we can have additional banner. For our weapons, we're gonna be using Cooling Strike. This can be level 1, Whirring Blade, faster attack. The second weapon is gonna be Portal, linked with Custom Death. And then I have a Steel Skin. Do not link Custom Death with Steel Skin, because you cannot be. The Custom Death will not allow you to use the Steel Skin. Then we have a support, a support for just. I would highly recommend only using for like rare bosses and maybe some essence monsters. So it's Arcanist Brand, Flame Surge, Combustion, faster casting. I'm not sure if the combustion applies the negative fire resistance due all the problems with like the combustion game that was highlighted a couple weeks or some time ago on the Reddit. So for our boots, we're gonna be using Blasphemy, Flammability, increase AoE, and then you're gonna be using the Defiance banner as long as you have the Enlighten. If you don't have the Enlighten or the Enlighten is too expensive, skip the banner and you're gonna be fine. Then this is our main setup. We're gonna be using frostblink, Call to Fire. Call to Fire is a mandatory gem, cannot be replaced, it has to be here no matter what. Then Unbound Elements is a flexible gem. If you don't have your Ignite Prolif over here, then I would just simply swap the Unbound Elements and socket the Ignite Prolif. Then there is Swift Affliction. It can be upgraded into Awaken one if you choose to and you have the currency. You can do the same thing with Deadly Elements. Deadly Elements is a mandatory gem, it needs to be here, as is this lowers our portion of our hit, and then we can ignite our Ignite can proliferate instead of destroying the corpses cause of the pyre. And lastly, we're gonna be using Life Tap. Life Tap has to be on the same level as your cost of your Frostblink. Let me socket this game back. So my Frostblink is cost 245 life. So you have to make sure that your Life Tap goes always whenever you cast a Frostblink, like here. Because the buff that provides us from the Life Tap gives us the extra damage. So this is my Ignite damage without using it, so we don't have the Life Tap buff, and then you have the Life Tap buff, so our damage goes up. If you level up your Life Tap too high, you're gonna have to use 2 Frostblinks before you're gonna get the increased damage from the Life Tap. So I would just simply keep it on the same level as your cost of your Frostblink. So you might be wondering, what's the cost of the build? And I would say it's something between 3 to 4 divines, depending how cheaply you can get the chest. If you look for any kind of role, like just by the 6 link, the price goes from 150 to about 400, so it really depends. The issues that you're gonna get with this chest, this is a pure evasion chest that you need to get 2 blues, 2 reds and 2 greens. If you buy yourself a corrupted one, or you will corrupt your chest, there's a way to do it, such as using the tainted chromatic orbs, and you simply just gonna spam them until you got your right corals. The rest of the items, they are super cheap. The only another expensive item is gonna be the pyre, because I would highly recommend you getting a really good roll, like the burning damage. I would say like get a perfect. So you're gonna be looking for about 40 to 50 C, and the rest of the items are super cheap because they're gonna cost you a couple C. Obviously, if you start buying some kind of expensive rares items, they're gonna add up. But if you go like just a very basic rares, you're not gonna spend more than 4 divines on it. So you might be wondering, what's the damage? And the damage on our ignite is about 2.5 mils, a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. It really depends. But all you have to do is just frostblink on the boss, on the enemy, use your whirling blade to apply the scorched ground, and that's pretty much it. So the build pretty much involves into frost blinking and using whirling blade constantly, and you're doing your 2.5 mil. So the build generally has a lot of issue with the mana. I was trying to solve this problem by like getting some kind of flat ES on my gear, such as I have a little bit on my belt, and I think I have a little bit on my gloves. I was thinking like, okay, maybe if I get about 200 or 250 with the unique craft on the belt, I will be able to maintain the ES always on full and spam my frostblink all the time. But as long as I'm near the rare, yeah, that's true, you can do it. But as soon as you don't see a rare in your presence for like a long time, your ES gonna dry. Your ES is gonna go really low because due to the cost of our frostblink. Because I don't necessarily like the life tap, I would rather replace the life tap with like a burning damage or anything else that would give us a more damage. So the life tap is more or less for here, just to make sure that we can spam our skill constantly. So if you're wondering what type of a content I'm running on this build, I'm gonna show you my passive, Atlas passive skills. So this is the passive tree, and mainly focusing on clicking the chest from the smuggler's catch, getting some kind of contract. So mainly I want the deception, as they can be sold very easily for 10C. I have some rituals because I still need to get my last challenge, and they get generally some good rewards, but I would say ritual is kinda unrewarding, I would say. Then I have some essence because I wanna farm some essence because I wanna do some crafting, and I have some extra maps. I have all of the strong boxes. So that's pretty much it for the Atlas passives. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you next time.